When your dog looks directly into your eyes, do you actually know what that means? Most people assume it's just affection, a sweet moment of connection. But behind that simple gaze, there's something deeper that most dog owners completely miss. It's one of the most instinctive and emotionally vulnerable things your dog can do. And if you misunderstand it, which most owners do, you might accidentally create tension or even confuse your dog about how to trust you. Let's start with what this behavior really means. 1. Eye contact isn't always love. It can be pressure. You're sitting on the couch. Your dog looks at you. You look back. Maybe you even hold that gaze, thinking it's bonding. Most people think it's about affection, that eye contact equals love. Here's what's actually happening. In the canine world, direct eye contact is not always friendly. In fact, prolonged staring can be a form of pressure, even a challenge. Dogs don't naturally use eye contact the way humans do. To us, eye contact builds connection. To dogs, it depends on context. A soft glance, safe, a quick look away, respectful, but a fixed, unbroken stare that can feel intense, even threatening. Think about that for a second. When your dog locks eyes with you, they're stepping into a moment of vulnerability. They're reading your intention just as much as you're reading theirs. And here's where most owners get it wrong. They hold eye contact too long. They lean in. They unknowingly increase the pressure. From your dog's perspective, that can feel confusing. Are you connecting with me or challenging me? In a pack setting, dominant wolves often use steady eye contact to assert control. Submissive ones break it to avoid conflict. So, when your dog looks away first, they're not being distant. They're being respectful. And what this reveals is powerful. Your dog isn't just interacting with you emotionally. They're constantly assessing your role in their world. 2. The signs of the love gaze. But here's where things get interesting. Because sometimes that eye contact is times love. A 2015 study from Azabu University in Japan found that when dogs and their owners share gentle eye contact, both experience a rise in oxytocin. That's the same hormone involved in bonding between mothers and babies. Here's what's actually happening. When your dog gives you a soft, relaxed gaze, being slowly, body loose, they're not challenging you. They're bonding with you. That moment triggers a biological loop. You look at your dog, oxytocin increases, your dog feels safer. They look back, oxytocin increases again. Think about that for a second. Your dog is literally, chemically bonding with you through eye contact. But here's what most people don't realize. That only happens when the eye contact feels safe. If your gaze is too intense, too fixed, or too close, you break that loop. Instead of connection, your dog feels uncertainty. And this is where subtlety matters. The difference between bonding and pressure isn't obvious to us. But to your dog, it's everything. So when your dog looks at you softly, they're not just being cute, they're choosing to trust you. And that trust depends on how you respond. 3. Your dog is reading you, not just looking at you. Now imagine this. You're in the kitchen. You haven't said a word, but your dog looks at you. Not just randomly, intentionally. Most people think their dog is just waiting for food or attention. Here's what's actually happening. Dogs use eye contact as a communication tool, not to express themselves, but to read you. Studies in canine cognition show that dogs follow human gaze, interpret facial expressions, and even respond to subtle emotional cues in the eyes. Your dog isn't just looking at times you. They're studying you. Think about that for a second. Every time your dog makes eye contact, they're asking silent questions. Are you calm? Are you safe? Should I relax or stay? Alert? And here's where it gets even deeper. Dogs rely more on observation than vocal language. They don't need words. Your posture, your attention, your eyes, that's their language. And this is especially true because of scent and proximity. Your dog already knows your smell better than anything in the world. They associate it with safety. So when they look at you, they're combining scent plus sight plus energy. You are their reference point, their emotional anchor, their safe base. And that means your eye contact carries weight. It tells them how to feel. Asterisk. Now, before we keep going, if you're learning something new about your dog, hit like and subscribe. That's how we get these videos to more people who want to build a real bond with their dog. This behavior starts long before you met your dog. Let's go back to when your dog was a puppy. Long before training, before commands, before routines. In the early weeks of life, puppies don't rely on eye contact much at all. They rely on touch, warmth, smell. But as they grow, something changes. Here's what's actually happening. Eye contact begins to develop as a learned behavior tied to survival. In the wild, young canines learn to read older pack members, not through words, but through subtle signals. Eye contact becomes a way to gauge intention, safe or dangerous, leader or threat. Think about that for a second. Your dog didn't randomly decide to look into your eyes. They learned that behavior because it helps them understand their world. And now, you are that world. What makes this even more powerful is, when your dog looks at you, they're treating you like a pack leader. Not in a dominance way, but in a guidance way. They're checking in. Should I wait? Are we okay? And this is instinct, not training. So when you respond with calm, soft energy, you reinforce safety. But when you stare intensely or react unpredictably, you create uncertainty. Now, think about this. Does your dog make eye contact with strangers the same way they do with you? Probably not. Most people assume dogs behave consistently with everyone. Here's what's actually happening. Eye contact is selective. Dogs reserve soft, trusting eye contact for people they feel safe with. With strangers, they might glance, then look away, or avoid eye contact altogether, because they don't yet know what that gaze means. Think about that for a second. Your dog is choosing when and with whom to connect at that level. And they choose you. That soft look they give you, that moment where their eyes relax, their body settles, that's not random. That's emotional exclusivity. And here's where it gets even deeper. In dog-to-dog interactions, prolonged eye contact can escalate tension. So when your dog chooses times to hold a gentle gaze with you, they're overriding instinct. Why? Because they trust you won't harm them. Because they feel safe enough to be vulnerable. And what this reveals is simple, but powerful. Your dog doesn't just see you as part of their world. They see you as times their person. Asterisk. 6. The real meaning behind that look. Now let's come back to that moment. Your dog looks at you. Still, quiet, focused. You might think it's just attention or curiosity. But here's what's actually happening. That gaze is communication. Not loud, not obvious, but deeply emotional. Think about that for a second. Your dog is saying, I am with you. I trust you. I am watching you to understand what comes next. And here's where it all connects. Remember earlier when we talked about how eye contact can create pressure? This is the difference. Harsh eye contact demands. Soft eye contact connects. And most owners blur that line without realizing it. But your dog feels it instantly. What makes this even more powerful is your dog doesn't have times to look at you. They choose to every time. Because in that moment, they're placing trust in you. Not just for affection, but for guidance, for safety, for clarity. And that's not small. That's one of the deepest forms of connection your dog can offer. 7. If your dog stops making eye contact, don't ignore it. Now, here's something most people overlook. What if your dog suddenly stops making eye contact? They used to look at you often. Now they don't. Most people think it's nothing. Here's what's actually happening. A sudden change in eye contact can signal something deeper. Stress, anxiety, confusion, or even physical discomfort. Dogs don't just communicate through action. They communicate through absence. Think about that for a second. If your dog avoids your gaze, they might be saying, I am not sure how you'll respond. I don't feel completely safe right now. Something feels off. And here's where it gets serious. In some cases, reduced eye contact can even be an early sign of health issues. Pain changes behavior, and behavior changes communication. So, if your dog stops looking at you the way they used to, don't ignore it. Observe. Reconnect. Because that silence, it means something. So, the next time your dog looks into your eyes, pause. Remember what's really happening. That's not just a glance. That's not just attention. That's communication. That's your dog trying to understand you and connect with you. And here's the truth most people miss. That's not just affection. That's emotional vulnerability. And that behavior, it was never small to your dog. And it shouldn't be small to you either.